Well, you had kind of an experience with Joel Lindpere, Brett, concerning Scandinavia, and he, I guess, you heard something a little different from him.
Well, it was mentioned that that Lindpere was well, they mentioned that people were talking about like, oh, you can go to the players who leave MLS to go to the Scandinavian countries to make the bigger paycheck. And Lindpere merely pointed out that he makes more money in MLS than he did in the Scandinavian countries.
Is that true, Jimmy?
I would say probably.
Wow.
I think he's in the right organization for that statement to be true. To be honest, I think that Red Bulls value their players. I think they pay them fairly.
Yeah.
And they take all that into account. I'm not to say that, other clubs don't, but, obviously he was somebody that the Red Bulls wanted, and they paid him accordingly. I think the pay level's probably comparable. I think the bonus structure is a lot better overseas, and I think you have a better opportunity to make more money.
Right.
Over in Scandinavia. I think here, once you get your base, it's pretty much what you're going to earn. And so I would like to see that change a little bit. I think I talked about that in my podcast, but I think that would make a difference. About motivating guys.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think it's foolish to think that guys and people in general aren't motivated by money. And that's what ultimately makes. Unfortunately, that's what makes the world turn.
Yeah.
And I think if we could have contracts that start to mirror that, then I think we put ourselves in a position. Now, some guys have that. I know the contracts are changing. The league's becoming more creative and more open to creativity than they have in the past, and I think that'll end up being where we end up. But again, I'm impatient. I wish that would just happen sooner.
Yeah.
Would be nice. Well, we're almost out of time, so one last question here. I'm sorry I'm going to hog it, Brett, but who is your favorite in the MLS playoffs? Who do we got to keep our eye on?
Well, I'm not going to since Brett said Salt Lake.
I take your pick.
Yeah, well, I like them a lot. I think Colorado actually looked great against Salt Lake on the weekend. I don't know if they'll end up making it all the way, and I know they gave up 2 kind of crap goals there at the end, but I thought they looked really good. If they can play with that same kind of passion, I think Pablo Mastroianni looks as motivated as ever and enthusiastic. Sometimes you never know with Pablo, and I love him for it, but he really looks gung-ho, and they look determined, and I think they're going to be a dangerous team. They're my team to watch in terms of an outside shot. But, it's hard to get away from Salt Lake. I think they're the most complete team. Yeah. I think if you took out one of their players, whether it's Morales or Beckerman or Saborio up top, it doesn't matter. They got somebody else to fill the gap and do the job. And I think they're the most complete team, and I would expect them to get back to the final and win it again, not in penalties this time. But there's something about Colorado that I like, and I like a lot of their guys. They have a good team spirit right now, and like we learned last year, it's all about how you're playing in these last 4 games, and the other 30 don't matter.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Colorado, and what I really like about Colorado over most of the teams that are in the playoffs is their striker tandem. I think they've got some of the most. I think they're 2 of the most dangerous strikers together. I mean, combined. Agreed.
And you got Kanji coming off the bench.
Yep.
So if one of those guys gets tired and you're a defender and it's the 75th minute and they're bringing Kanji on, you're not all that happy about it. So there is something about them. I mean, you see a little bit of a spark and a belief, and I think once they kind of got over, or once we got eliminated and they knew they were in the playoffs, they've been playing great. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think if they can get through the first round and it's just a one-off in the last 2 games, you just never know what's going to happen to these guys.
And I
Being
think
in the East, it's very possible.
Yeah, you never know. But Real Salt Lake did all this amazingly with one of the lowest salary. One of the lowest salaries per player that you can find in the MLS. So what does that say about the designated player?
I'm going to cut you off. From a player perspective, that bums me out.
Yeah.
I wish it was the most expensive team ever that is going to win the cup. But, I think they've done a good job. I think Garth Lagerwey's done a good job of finding players, signing them to good contracts. I mean, fair contracts. And then when they prove themselves, he's proven that he'll reward them with a better one. So, when you have that kind of respect from top to bottom, then you're going to have a team that's motivated and wants to perform on the field. And I think you've seen that in the last few years with Salt Lake.
Absolutely. They're still under 2.3, which is amazing when you see some of the salaries, at least at the top four. I mean, Chicago spent their brains out, and so did Toronto, and look
Always
what
got
happened
to
to
bring
them.
up Chicago.
I'm sorry.
Always got to bring them up.
But Jimmy, I appreciate you coming on, and we hope to have you on again down the road, and want to wish you the best for your show. I think it's a great one, and people should definitely catch it at Conrad.com.
Or go on iTunes.
Or
Jimmy
iTunes.
Conrad Podcast. That's right.
That's right. But like I said, hopefully we'll see you down the road, and I want to wish you the very best.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.